What's up, YouTube? Today we are here with the second place at my locals yesterday, the Eldlich, the Dogma Eldlich, and Dragoon deck, DEAD, as I call it. I had to think about that for a second, so apologies. So we're gonna go right into the profile. It's basically just Eldlich, Dogma, and Dragoon. Nothing more else to say about it. So, starting off, 2 Golden Lords. I think it's simple enough. Most decks run 2. 3 I feel like is too bricky and too expensive. So, just 2. 3, Dogmatika Ecclesia, the Virtuous. Dogmatika Ecclesia is your Rhoda for the deck. She searches out any Dogmatika card. If there's a monster from the extra deck that's in the field, you can special summon her right from her hand. The only time you're locked out of the extra deck is if you're using her Vector Search. So at most she's a free body that you can special, and if you have another one, you can normal summon and make some plays with that. So she's always good. 2, Dogmatika Fleur-de-Lis, Denied. Also a good floater. He just summons when there's an extra monster in the field, and if you control another Dogmatika monster, he doesn't target but negates a monster. And if a Dogma battles, like your Dogma attacks, he can gain all Dogma's attack 500. And he doesn't have to have any other monster in the field to do that. He can do that by himself. So that's just by himself amazing. He's just a big body, and being level 8 is pretty decent too. He's level 8, right? Yeah, he's level 8. I had to think about this for a second. 1 copy of Dogmatika Maximus, only because this thing starts your combo off going first. If you're going second against a deck, it's always free to side it out because it's not going to do much except for basically extend your game state. It's only good going first, so you can get your 1 card combo off, which I'll show you in a bit. Then you've got 3 Cyframe Gamma with the 1 driver. One of the best hand traps right now. This card shuts down a lot of decks. It's negate, destruction, removal. It helps you further through a lot of combo plays. It's really good, this format. I recommend playing this package if you're playing a deck that does nothing but search without having monsters out first, because then you can take advantage of Gamma and then summon it, and then your opponent really is just looking at themselves like, now what do I do? Because your combo is pretty much untouchable. Speaking of hand traps, 3 Ash Blossom. One of the best hand traps in the game right now. Probably one of the most used hand traps in the game as well. And then lastly, our Garnets, our Dark Magician, and Red Eyes Black Dragon for our Dragoon package. Otherwise, we cannot make a DEAD, as Motionless and White says. Next up, we have Cursed Outland as our 3 of. Rhoda for your Eldlich and your Golden Lands, and if it's sent from field to graveyard, you can pitch a Golden Land or Eldlord from your deck to your graveyard. Eldlord, so like that, big guy, or one of the little monsters that summon. Fortunately, this doesn't search the Elixirs, which I wish it did, but then the whole deck would be pretty broken. Also, if it's on the field, you can't declare attacks with it except for zombie monsters. Most people don't realize that and just start swinging, and I'm just like, you get a card that says you can only attack with 1 card. And they just look at me like, oh yeah. Because I've done that before. I'm not going to lie. I've done that way too many times. So, for our next card, we have our New Age, Call by the Grave, also known as Triple Tactics Talent. Your opponent does anything to you during the main phase, you could basically either draw 2, rip a card out of their hand, or, for simplicity's sake, take their Dragoon. Because this thing doesn't target. Today I ran 2 copies of the Nadir Servant. If I had 3, I would run 3, but sadly the buddy I picked this core off of only had 2, so I ran 2 today. This card by itself is amazing. If this whole combo isn't interrupted, this 1 card gets you an amazing, almost untouchable board, and it literally locks your opponent if you're playing something like Dragon Link right in their spots. Like, unless they're playing like Dark Lord No More, like this card pretty much tells them you're not playing at all. And even Dark Lord No More, this card can get around. Just this whole combo itself. And then for our 1-0s, we have our Eldlich of Black Awakening, because free summon from the deck or hand. Red Eyes Fusion, simplicity's sake, for our Dragoon. And the recently released Harpy's Feather Duster. I'm holding on to this card for a few years now. Glad it came off the list. Alright, trap cards. We have our triple place of Infinite Impermanence. One of the best hand traps in the game. It's Veiler and Crack. There's nothing more that needs to be said. If you're not running that card, you really should be investing in that card, because unless the game printed in the gold set, it's just going to keep going up. Then we have Conquistador of the Golden Land. This card is basically free fight level 5 monster. Below 5 monsters is normal. It's also still a trap card, so you can still send it with Golden Lord if this is on the field still. So you summon that during your next turn, you draw a Golden Lord's effect, you can send it to the graveyard because it literally says right here, this card is also still a trap. So Golden Lord can definitely send it still. Oh, then we have our triple Eldlich of Scarlet Sanguine, which basically just revival or summon for the deck. Really good. And then we have our 2 Hakuero, which is our built-in Call by the Grave in the deck. Really good against certain decks, especially like... I wouldn't really say Dogma because Dogma doesn't really stop. It stops more like Mech Knights and Invoked players because then you can banish stuff out of the graveyard. It also really, I wouldn't say really helps, but it can really get rid of stuff like Miscellaneous. Like after they pitch it, you can respond right in that little chain. You just summon the Hakuero, banish the Miscellaneous. They can't get their Archosaur out and you can't get Gambit, so it's definitely not a bad idea. And then lastly, our part of our 1-card combo with the Nadir Servant, we have Shadow Rook, or as it's called in the TCG, Shadow Schism. I prefer Shadow Rook better. Basically, fusion summon during your main phase, then whatever monster you summon, you send the correct attribute that you summoned of your opponent's choosing to your graveyard. So like, you summon Construct, you get to send the light on their field. You summon Outwinda, you get to send the dark. You summon Apkalone, you get to send the dark. Only bad thing about this card is whatever you summon can't attack directly. Oh well. You're not really using it to attack directly. So, speaking of Shadows, let's go to the extra deck. 2 copies of El Shadow Construct. Finally get to use these biddies. Haven't used these pretties in a while, and first edition ultis come out. So, this card is really good. It helps clear boards. Really good removal. Just damage step, pop, damage step, pop. 1 copy of El Shadow Winda, just because she's locked down. I have Ultras and Secrets, but I just like her because she's German. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah. Same thing with the Apkalone. Apkalone's also German. And Apkalone, nobody realizes it. If you already have Ruck in your hand, you can shuffle back Apkalone, and because you didn't shuffle back like a card to your hand, you don't have to discard. It's the same ruling with Salomon Great Falco targeting an extra deck Salomon Great. Even though you bounce back to the extra deck, it didn't go to your hand, so Falco doesn't summon. Because Apkalone doesn't go to your hand, you don't have to discard. So, a lot of stuff people don't realize about that, and it can still be used for chain blocking, even if you side out Ruck going second, because, you know, that card. Especially since you can use Apkalone to chain block this card, which is Titanclad, the Ash Dragon. Basically, it hits your graveyard, end phase, search your deck, or special summon the Fallen of Albaz, or a Dogmatika monster. Basically, your Rhoda, basically Ash Bait, that's why you chain block it using Apkalone, or your Window, or your Construct, whatever you want to use. Then we have Elder Entity Natis, just because hit graveyard, pop card. Literally all, like, what else is there to say? Hit graveyard, pop card. Dragoon, just because Dragoon. Pop, 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 game. Link Spider. All your vanilla trap cards after they're done popping a card or banishing a card out of the graveyard are normal, so this helps you get to Verde Night Card faster. This card, people are going to look at me like, why are you running this? This card, I kid you not, helped me, even though I lost that game, it helped me basically get some sort of advantage by helping me draw cards. Basically what this card does is, if you summon a monster from the graveyard, either player summons a monster from the graveyard, you draw a card. And you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, summon it to their side of the field as a zombie, so you get to draw a card off that effect too. This works really well with your Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. This works really well if you're playing White Destiny. White Destiny, right? I still haven't gotten the names of the Elixirs right yet. But anyways, it really works really well with them. It just works in general, especially if like you're running like a Baldur Oak engine. Just this, or just really like Link, or I was gonna say Glow Bloom and Zombie World is just a 1-card, just free zombie sucker, and then it's just draw a card in your turn with a Baldur Oak. And even though that's like subpar and whatnot, but it's not bad because now you have a negate, and if you have more traps in your hand, it's better. But that's for a different version. IP Masquerena, just because, just free link summon, boop, 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 you know, self-explanatory. That, and I really didn't have anything else really to put in the extra deck. Ready Anaconda, just to go for your Dragoon play. Cerberus, just because there's a lot of extra deck, or special summon monsters in the main monster zones now, so this card helps you clear out, and it helps your cards not be destroyed by card effects like Dragoon. Axis Kotaker, even though I don't have a Link 3 in the deck right at the moment because I don't have the Hockey Firefox package anymore, Access Code Talker is still really good. It gets you 2,000 by using a Link 2, or if you're using a fellow Link 4 like Appaloosa, it gets 4,000. And then you can start banishing and popping cards and then swinging. And Appaloosa, just to go in with IP, just because free negates. And lastly, number 35, Ravenous Tarantula. Ravenous Tarantula's effect is a weird one. This card, when it has material, or actually I don't even believe it has to have material or not, but while it's on the field, it takes the deficit between your life points and your opponent's life points, and takes that number and adds it to all your opponent's attack and defense. So, if your opponent's already played a Dragoon, activated Eldland, probably flipped a Judgment on you some point in their turn, they're pretty low. You drop this card, they're like, what, 2,000, something around that lines. That's already a 6,000 point boost that this thing's going to start off at, if you start off at max health. This also gives it to all your monsters. So if you summon Eldlord, that Eldlord, if your opponent has 25, you have 8,000, and you summon a Golden Lord off its effect, that's a 10,000 Golden Lord. Nobody realizes that. The other two effects that this card has is you can detach one material and destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls that have less attack than this card. The third effect is, every time your opponent special summons a monster while it has material, burn them for 600. So that increases the deficit even more and gives more attack and defense. So just summoning this card in defense mode as a defense mechanism just helps you further your own plays. And because it's level 10, you can go into it easily with 2 Eldlicks, or if you're running Shakanaga as well, like let's say if you're running Bell as your Earth target, you can go into this very easily and bounce back a Ruck or something. So now we're going into our side deck. Side deck we have Triple Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre is a really good card in this format. It helps stop a lot of Dragon Link plays. It helps stop a lot of Dogmatika plays. It just helps stop a lot of things that go off, and it's just cards that, this card can just stop a lot when it needs to. You can even stop Eldland if you need to. I mean, you don't really want to hit Eldland with that effect, but being able to just stop them from searching and gain more advantage, that's even better. And our next card is Joel Lockbird to stop Eldlich decks and things that search, because every deck searches several times now. So it's one of those cards that are back in the format that are good. Nibiru. With the death of Rock decks, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a death. Rock is still very, very playable. It's just people are very pessimistic about playing it because they're the same way about Heroes. With Heroes losing Mally to 2, they don't realize, oh, Mally's been at 2 for the longest time. We can play the deck as old school and still do craziness. And that's the same way with Nibiru. Like, even though Rock is dead, Rock can come back. So that's why this is like a hit or miss card. Like, I only put this in here just because it's good for clearing out boards. But quite frankly, I think I might just sub this out for either Lava Golem or Raw Spearbow, because if you're playing against a Dragoon deck, Lava Golem is always live, especially if they end with 2 monsters. They always end with the 2 monsters. They always end with Verde, Anaconda, and Dragoon. So even if they have another negate, you get to sack the other negate instead of the Verde, and have a free way of hitting for game. This card, it's good, but it's only good in certain situations. Next up, we got Forbidden Droplets. Really good card. Send cards from your hand or field to the graveyard that are other than this card. Your opponent, or negate the opponent's monsters that it doesn't target, so it turns off Dragoon. You can get around Dragoon with this card. You basically hit it, have its attack, negate its effects, so it can be used during damage stuff if they go to attack you. It's just a really good card altogether. It's just one of those, you really should get this card. Especially now, it's like $90 to $100, like before it goes up anymore. And lastly, for board wipes, you have Evenly Matched, because this deck is really more of a controlled-based deck. So this card really helps further the control-based plays, because you don't need your battle phase to win. If you can just out-resource your opponent and let them build their board up and sit there with like Evenly and Droplets in hand, you can be like, okay, battle phase, and the battle phase, drop the Evenly. They go negate with a monster effect. You go chain Droplets, send Evenly, and a monster. And now you negate that, and because you still control 1 card, they still have to banish so they control 1 card. So it's always a really good card. Alright, I have a little bit of time left, so I'm going to show you the 1 card Nidir Servant combo. One of those, one of those, one of those. Where's the Rook? You only need those cards. So, these right here are the only cards you need to start the combo off. You can see that. So you need at least 2 Shadows, probably one of which being Winda, Apkalone, Titan Dragon, and then one of each of your Dogma cards and your 1 Ruck. So here's how the combo goes. You activate Idiot Servant. Idiot Servant sends Apkalone from your extract to the graveyard to search out Dogmatika Ecclesia. Shadow Apkalone's effect activates, adding Schism, then sending Schism to the graveyard. Then you summon Ecclesia. Ecclesia's effect activates, grabbing Maximus. Maximus banishes Apkalone and special summons itself. Maximus' effect now activates, sending Ash Dragon and Construct to the graveyard, forcing your opponent to send 2 cards from their extract to their choice. Then you form a Chainlink 1 Ash Dragon, Chainlink 2 Construct to target the Schism back in your graveyard to add to your hand, and you're also chain blocking Titan Dragon so they can't Ash you. So you add that back to your hand, and then during your end phase you could add or summon a Dogmatika or Fall in the Vapaz. Then you take the Shadow Schism, you set it face down. End phase, you search out your Fleur-de-Lis. And now, during your opponent's turn, if they do anything, you can drop the Fleur-de-Lis, negate your opponent, flip the Schism, banish your Dark and your Shadow, summon your Winda. Winda honestly sends the Dark monster. So if they have like Verde Anaconda, you send it, and now they can't do anything else. So that's your 1 card with your Servant combo. That is really good in the deck. And it can really help because even though you don't use your extract, you can still just go right into your Dogmatika plays. Or not your Dogmatika plays, your Eldlich plays. So that's the video today. That's our deck profile. If you like, subscribe, like. I'll be posting more videos in the future. Been kind of lazy lately, but I'll be trying to post more videos when I can. Usually every Tuesday or Wednesday is a tournament for me, so that's when I'll have a video ready. Everybody have a great day, stay safe, and don't catch coronavirus.